Are you looking to grow revenues, increase profitability, or obtain financing? If so, you came to the right place.
Running a business is all about leadership. How do you become a better leader? Learn from the successful entrepreneurs and business owners how to lead your organization more effectively. That's why we created Leadership Live at 8:05, Talking Small Business, to help you succeed with your host, Andrew Frazier, Business Growth Pro and CFO and founder of the Small Business Pro University. Every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern, we're joined by experienced entrepreneurs and business owners who share their secrets to success via live stream. Also, every Friday morning, we release a new podcast episode. Either way, you will learn about developing your business leadership skills from our roster of highly performing guest experts. Leadership Live is one of the many valuable resources provided through the Small Business Pro University, empowering business owners to learn, profit, and grow. Find out more at sbprou.com.
All right. Okay. Good evening and welcome back to Leadership Live at 8:05. I'm your host, Andrew Frazier, and excited to be here with you once again on Tuesday evening. Tonight, our topic is leveraging resources to help small businesses succeed and thrive. Very excited about that topic. Anybody who knows me, I'm very passionate about helping entrepreneurs and business owners be more successful. And definitely looking forward to our conversation this evening with our guest, Nakeicha Wilson. She's actually taking her expertise and really bringing that to help entrepreneurs and business owners in some great ways. So I look forward to talking to her about that and learning more and helping you learn a little bit more about ways that you can be more successful and get access to resources that otherwise you might not have. So let me invite Nakeicha on real quick now. Hey, Nakeicha, how you doing this evening?
Hey, Andrew, I am doing well. Super excited to be here.
Okay, excellent. Well, excited to have you here. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule and look forward to chatting with you this evening.
Absolutely. I look forward to being a contributing factor to business owners that watch your show.
Excellent. Well, thanks for joining. We've been hanging out a little while, so I know a lot about you, but the guests don't really know too much about the audience doesn't really know too much about you. So if you could take a couple minutes, just talk a little bit about your journey, how you got to where you are now and what were some of the key milestones in the process.
Okay. So backstory, I'm going to go back a little bit because I think it's really important to just share the background. I grew up in Newark. Actually, I was born in Guyana and I grew up in Newark. I lived in Newark until I was about 23. But while growing up in Newark, I just learned to be really resourceful. I had 2 kids by the time I was 21. And because I had my kids so young, I just had to be really creative in finding resources and identifying ways to just figure out life. I went to school. I went to Kean University, got my degree in accounting, and I started working in corporate back in 2010. And while I was working in corporate, I was a financial coordinator. I was really kind of diving into startup businesses, what it takes to start a business. And because I worked with so many startups, we had to figure out ways to save money. We had to figure out ways to cut back expenses. So kids, school, worked in finance. In 2009, I opened a tax and bookkeeping business, and I thought I knew what I was doing. But now in hindsight, I realized I had no clue what I was doing. Worked in corporate until 2016. 2016, I decided that I didn't want to work in corporate anymore. I wanted to go back to entrepreneurship. So I started another entrepreneurship journey, an artistic cafe called Mocha Lounge, downtown Newark. And in that business, I kind of jumped in, both feet blindfolded, had no idea what I was doing, no idea what I was signing up for. And that business eventually failed in 2019 because I just didn't have the resources or the capacity to run the business successfully. But that ended up being a blessing because what it did is it allowed me to put attention to another business that I was working on, which was a laundromat in Newark, New Jersey. And we were able to successfully operate that business. And we sold that business in 2023. But while I was building that business out, I just started leveraging all of the resources that I came across. And right now, my husband and I are partners and co-founders of Alexander Sky Group. And what we do specifically is work with businesses to assess where they are and identify resources, tax incentives, and just different ways for them to save money, and just be better positioned to grow. And that's where I am today, Andrew.
Excellent, excellent. So, definitely an interesting journey. Actually, I learned a few things in that as well. I thought I knew everything. No.
There's so much more, so much more.
All right, there always is. There always is. So, no, I mean, definitely, I think that you've seen entrepreneurship from the ground up, and like many people, your journey, sometimes your journey doesn't make it a lot of sense until you get further on. You're like, oh, that's why I went through that, so I could be ready for this.
There you go.
So definitely that's key a piece. So look forward to talking a little bit about the resources and other things, but also want to make sure that we in I guess less than 3 weeks now, 2.5 weeks is our annual conference, the Small Business Pro Power Conference, and really looking forward to having it this year in Newark. So definitely let's share some info about that. And Nakeicha is actually going to be there and facilitating a panel in one of the breakout sessions. So definitely looking forward to that as well. So those of you who don't have it on your calendars yet, let me just make sure you've got the basic info. So it's the Small Business Pro Power Conference. It's going to be the Friday the 25th at Nico's Kitchen, which is in the New Jersey Performing Arts Center. And it's going to be a great day. So hopefully you can join us. And if you can't join us during the day, we're going to have a networking reception the night before. So join us Thursday night. And if you can, join us for both. We'll be sharing more about them as we go. But, before we do that, let's talk a little bit. Nakeicha, you mentioned you learned a lot in the first business you opened in Newark.
Yeah.
And one of them is that you didn't have the bandwidth and development and resources. Right. And so talk a little bit about the resources that you wish you had or that would have been beneficial to you in that situation.
So when I was in Newark, one of the things I did was I just kind of showed up to workshops, right? Like they had workshops and they have programs, and I kind of showed up for everything. And then I went back to chaos. So I couldn't implement those things. So one of the resources that I wish I had then, or wish I even knew about, or how much I can access, is the Small Business Development Center. That's a resource that's available to any business owner in America, actually. And I didn't realize that you can leverage multiple consultants within SBDC, Small Business Development Center. So that's one of the resources I wish I knew about that I didn't have when I opened the cafe. I'm trying to think of another one.
Okay. Well,
yeah, that's a good base. That's a good foundation resource to start with because it's open to everyone. And it also gives you access to university and some resources that the universities that are connected to the SBDC have available for business owners.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Definitely. And I've had some experience with SBDC as well. Spent some time working with them, and definitely starting out, it's a great resource to help you with your businesses. So now you did the laundromat as well.
Right.
So that was a little bit of a different experience. Were there different resources that you might have needed for the laundromat that you?
The laundromat, one of the resources that I wish I knew about was leveraging payroll incentives. There are some payroll. So the laundromat was in Newark, right? And Newark is an opportunity zone. And there are some areas that are opportunity zones, and even some that are not opportunity zones, that I didn't know that I could leverage the work opportunity tax credit. So that's one credit that I wish I knew about, because it would definitely save me on payroll. The other incentive that I didn't leverage was OJT. And OJT is like on the job training. So basically, that program, there's some criteria to it, obviously, but they reimburse you up to 50% for training someone for up to 6 months. And that's a huge incentive for businesses, especially businesses that are running a business in a specific area that may get a demographic that covers the demographic that OJT covers. So that was a huge incentive or resource that I didn't know about.
Okay. Excellent. And then now you're doing your current company,
Yes.
Alexander Sky Group, where you're pulling that together. You talked a little bit about, what brought you to do this.
Right.
Talk a little bit about your experience with that. Because every business is its own journey, especially that type of business. You're continually learning in different iterations.
Well, this business, I feel like it's been multiple journeys within the business. So with this business, after we sold the laundromat, I had about 6 months where I was like, I don't know what's next. And I was trying to figure that out. And what I did is I kind of went to business peers and say, hey, let me help you, because I know you need help. And what I identified is, when we pulled the curtain back, there were so many issues that these business owners were dealing with that I was like, okay, I can help. So it started with just kind of going in as a volunteer and helping businesses that I knew were struggling. But again, once we kind of peel the layers back, there was so much stuff that they were dealing with that I started reaching out to organizations. I started reaching out to CDFI organizations for technical services. I started reaching out to Empower the Village, right, for counseling services. SBDC, I reached out to SCORE for a free mentor. And the more businesses I got exposed to, the more I started to discover that they just did not know that these resources were available to them. So in a year and a half, I went from volunteering to working with startup businesses, which I thought we would be the most helpful to, because their resources in New Jersey. And I know you have a lot of people, Andrew, but in New Jersey, we have the New Jersey EDA that have resources for marketing. They have resources to reimburse you for some of your lease. They have resources for small business improvement. And the more I tried to help these small businesses, I started to gather resources. So that's really where we are. But what I've identified is there's so many counseling and support services for small businesses that our attention is really starting to focus on medium-sized businesses that are earning $1 million or more, because I thought it was only the small businesses that were having some issues. But when we started working with larger businesses, what we identify is some of the larger businesses are running the same way that some of the small businesses are running, meaning they're not leveraging technology. They are not leveraging the resources around them. And 80% of the businesses in the United States are not taking advantage of the opportunities and the incentives that are there for them to grow. So this journey has taken me, like I said, from volunteering to our most recent project that we worked on. We had a client that thought he owed $40,000 in taxes, but after doing the research, analyzing his finances and kind of looking through his books to see what else we can find, he ended up getting a refund of like 75,000. Now that's the unicorn, but my point is there are resources and opportunities out here and incentives that a lot of business owners just don't know, either because they don't have the time to do the research or they're just not aware of what's available. So I go out and I do the digging. I show up at networking events. I show up at resource events. I make the phone calls and the emails to these organizations to kind of get through the red tape so we can identify what do business owners need. Like, let's get rid of the fluff and figure out what business owners need so that they can take advantage of some of these resources. So that's where we are. We're growing, we're pivoting, we're identifying where we really are the most beneficial to business owners, and business owners that we either can't serve or we no longer want to serve. We either leverage SBDC. We do consulting via SBDC. So if we have a small business that normally we don't serve with our company, we can serve them through the Small Business Development Center. So I'm not only sharing the information, but we're also consultants through the SBDC. And I think I kind of manifested that because that's one of the resources I was sharing in 2024 repeatedly. And now we're consultants for the SBDC in addition to what we do with the other larger businesses that we're looking to cater now.
Excellent, excellent. So that brings us back to, you talked about bookkeeping and doing taxes, and actually at the conference, the breakout session is going to be about financial management from A to Z. So, your career started in the accounting field.
Yeah.
And then you left, and you had your bookkeeping business and tax business. How important is that for business owners?
That is one of the most important things for business owners. I think a lot of business owners, that's what I'm identifying. A lot of business owners struggle just kind of understanding their finances and understanding their books. And what they don't realize is we can't tell the story of your business if we don't have the numbers, right? I'll use this last client, for example. Client showed up and, there was nothing on QuickBooks, right? And he assumed that he owed $40,000. So after kind of gathering all of his expenses, we realized that the company actually isn't making money. The company had a loss and he ended up getting a refund. But if we didn't take 6 months and really dive into all of the expenses and have the difficult conversations and ask, what are you spending money on? What is this expense? What is that expense? It is vital for businesses. It is the lifeline of businesses, regardless of whether you're a solopreneur or whether you are an operation that have 2 or 3 or 4 people running the business. If we don't understand the finances behind your business, we really can't tell how your business is doing. And then we can't plan, because you want to have a plan. You want to be able to project what the next 2 or 3 years would look like. And one thing that I think a lot of business owners don't think about or don't have the time to think about is the exit plan. You may be running this business now and you want to sell the business in 3 years, but we can't wait until you're ready to sell the business. We have to start looking at the business right now and kind of create what this business needs to look like so that you can sell it when you are ready to. So yeah, finances is vital. If you don't, I'm gonna say this, Andrew, if your finances aren't in order, your business really isn't in order, because we can't do anything without finances. We can't do anything without bookkeeping. And I think some people will have a CPA and they won't have a bookkeeper. So, or they may have a bookkeeper that's just punching numbers in that don't really understand um, finances, right? And then you may have a bookkeeper that's not speaking to your CPA. No offense to the CPAs, but some of the CPAs, they just get a financial statement and they just process the tax return, but no one's really analyzing the business. So if you don't have finances together, you really don't have a business.
And that's so important for many people. And many times it's tough to get good help. And that's another reason why there's resources out there that you can go to that can, help you, point you in the right direction on whatever that you may want to or need to do.
Can I plug?
Sure.
I'm going to plug your conference.
Okay.
I know this was, one of the things is being around people with integrity and character, and people that really want to see you win and succeed. And that's one of the things that I got from showing up to your conference a few years ago. So yes, sometimes it is hard to find good people, but if you're around good people tend to be around good people. So
definitely. Thanks. And yeah, definitely. Conferences are always great, and love to. It was great that you guys are continue to participate, and really looking forward to this coming one. So any of you out here who haven't been, you're missing out.
You are missing out.
So, so that being said, I do have a short video about our networking event I'll play now, and then later I'll have one about the conference that we'll play, but this will just give you an idea. If you can't come Friday during the day, definitely make sure you come Thursday night. Join us for the Power Network event at Makerhoods in the Kruger Mansion in Newark, New Jersey on Thursday, July 24th. Meet with like-minded entrepreneurs in a relaxed environment to chat, connect, and collaborate. I'm Andrew Frazier. Please join me at our Power Network event, and I look forward to introducing you to our members and friends.
Glad to host your network event here at the Kruger Scott Mansion. Thought I'd give you just a little bit of background. The entire Makerhoods campus here is a unique space here in Newark that encourages entrepreneurship at all levels. Of course, it's anchored by the Kruger Scott Mansion, a fantastic 1835 iconic building here in Newark. And we look forward to hosting you and your team here and sharing thoughts and ideas about how to help entrepreneurs grow and thrive.
To learn more and register, visit www.sbpro.com/power-network today. All right. Welcome back. I'm here with Nakeicha Wilson, talking small business. Topic tonight is leveraging resources to help small businesses succeed. Nakeicha, we got a couple questions for you in the chat, so I just want to make sure we cover those.
Okay.
So first off, one of the questions is about you created an app. Is that correct?
Oh yeah. So during COVID, I was running the laundromat, and there was no contact, obviously. So we created an app that allowed our customers to just request service, and there was no contact. So what happened is our laundromat was in Newark, but what ended up happening because of the app is we were able to expand to Essex County, Union County, Hudson County. And in the app, what happens, so someone would request a pickup and this alert would go to the driver, it would go to our staff, and I would also get an email. And then, yeah, we just use the app. People would just put in their requests, and we had a certain criteria as to when we would pick up their laundry, when their laundry would be dropped off, and they can track like where their laundry was. It was pretty cool. COVID, we actually did very well during COVID because the app allowed us to implement technology into the laundromat. So,
Okay.
yeah, it was pretty cool.
Excellent. So yeah, technology's cool, and the pandemic was bad in many ways, but a lot of good things came out of the pandemic as well.
Yeah, forced us to get creative.
Definitely. Another question for you. What is the first step in building strong community partnerships? Because that's definitely key for accessing resources.
You say this, Andrew. One of the first step is just showing up and creating value. There was a point where when we started our consulting journey, we just started showing up. We're like, where do you need us? Right. And we showed up in those spaces and just kept volunteering and showing up. And when we talk about community partnerships, not some people are going to be open to it, some organizations are going to be open to it, some organizations won't. But I would say if you see an organization that's aligned with what you're trying to do, send them an email and say, hey, this is what I'm doing, I would love to support. I'll give you a prime idea of what one of the things we did for a community partnership. So we are sharing NJ Thrives, which is an ecosystem for entrepreneurs, right? So rather than going out and reaching out to entrepreneurs, I started to email organizations that were already building a community for entrepreneurs. So I emailed the organization that's throwing an event with 15,000 people on Saturday. And I said, hey, I have these resources for business owners that I think will be beneficial to your vendors. I didn't expect this, but they said, we would love to have you there. And they gave us a community table. So for me, it's meeting people where they are, but also being able to boldly email some of these community partners and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. I haven't done this yet, but I plan on emailing a bank tomorrow morning because I'm working with some young people in the community, and I'm emailing them and say, hey, I'm working with these young people. Do you have anything or any programs that I can leverage to share with these young people? I think the first step is one, showing up, whether it's their workshops, whether it's their networking event. Show up a few times so people can get familiar with your face and your name, and then start to send emails and let people know what you're doing. And some people won't respond, but that doesn't stop you from emailing, right? A no just means, okay, I have to find a different way to connect with this community partner. But yeah, keep showing up. We've showed up all of 2024. We showed up for networking event. I mean, we showed up so much for networking events that we started getting emails saying, hey, when is the next event? When are you throwing an event? And how can we support you? So you show up, you bring value, and then you reach out to them. That's it, Andrew.
Definitely. If you've been out anywhere in New Jersey to any networking events and you haven't seen Nakeicha or Corey, then you're at the wrong events. Every time I go out somewhere, they're there.
We kind of slowed down this year, but we'll be out July, August, September. So this is our season to be out. So yeah, show up.
Okay, excellent. So now another question, which is important for all entrepreneurs, they go through challenging times and staying motivated. So how did you do that?
Man, I don't think there's a really clear answer for that. It depends on the season that I'm in. I listen to YouTube videos. I listen to people that stimulate me and motivate me at different times. I may be working and I'll listen to something in the background. And sometimes even that doesn't work. Like right now, I went through a little slump where I wasn't motivated and I had to figure out, okay, why aren't you motivated? One thing that I find that's very helpful is pouring back into people. I find that when I get into that little slump, one of the things I do is I find people that need the information that I have and I share it with them, whether it's on social media, whether I have a morning group. We meet every Sunday at 8 a.m. And these are just young women that want to do better and want to elevate their life. And I just pour into people. And I find that when I pour into people, I pour into myself. And it is hard to stay motivated during your hardest times. And sometimes you have to step away, refuel, and come back. And I find that usually when it's hard, it means that you're doing something that does not align, whether it's strategy, system, saying yes way too much. But usually I find that when things get really hard, you're just out of alignment. And sometimes you have to slow down, reset, think about your why, reevaluate your why. I heard something the other day. I was listening to Myron Golden and Dr. Dan Hardy, I think his name was. And he said that you have to be motivated by the future, right? You can't be motivated by the past. If you're able to visualize and say, okay, this is what I want for my future, then that should give you enough momentum to kind of keep doing the work in the present. And I thought that was a really powerful statement, right? Be 10 times motivated by what you're building than your present situation or your past. And usually that'll give you a little fuel. But I think it depends on the season. You have to figure out what works. Like running may work this season for me. Last season, running didn't work. I tried swimming this morning. That felt really good because I don't feel like going to the gym this season. So I think we just have to keep trying different things and see what works. And as humans, we also get bored. And we have to put ourselves in different rooms. We have to put ourselves in rooms that stretch us. That motivates me. Yeah, during my hardest time, how did I stay motivated? My younger years, it was my children. And now it's still my children, but it's knowing that my kids are still watching me. Like they're still watching to see if I am going to throw the towel in or if I'm going to keep going. So it depends on you, but it's constantly changing for me. It's not one thing. What motivated me 20 years ago definitely does not motivate me now. And you're right, rooms definitely stretch us. So.
Okay. No, great. So, you talk about the future is important, but that just made me think a little bit. I watch a lot of movies because my wife loves movies, but like 7 out of 10 movies, the whole movie is about revenge on the past, and it motivates them to. But that doesn't work real well in entrepreneurship. But yeah. So another question for you is, a lot of business owners, marketing is difficult, and usually you don't have a lot of money to start with. So what would you recommend to someone who doesn't have much of a budget, but does need to market their business?
So, one of the things, how do I start marketing with no budget at all? You start what you have, which is you. I think people like people, and humans don't realize how much they contribute. So I would definitely say you start with you. Leverage AI. There's so many, and you can leverage if you have $0, if you have absolutely nothing right now, I would probably go on Gemini, Copilot, or Chat GPT and describe to them, here's the type of business that I have. I have no budget. What can I do immediately? And just kind of use that as a starting point. In addition to that, I would also see what CDFIs are available in my community and identify if they have any marketing technical services. The third thing I would do is if you're in New Jersey and you have a brick and mortar business, there's a program called the e-commerce support grant through the New Jersey EDA. But I must say this, the e-commerce support grant, you need a tax clearance. In order to get a tax clearance, you need your taxes filed and current. So that's what I have. Yeah, if you have absolutely no budget, every business is different, but I would definitely leverage AI and say, hey, this is my business, this is the industry I'm in, this is my target market. Just give them as much as you can about your business and follow the steps. I think with social media, and I have this problem, it's not that I don't know how to market or I even need a budget to market. I don't like social media. Now, if that's your issue, you may have to find someone within your company or within your network that do enjoy social media or automate as much as you can. And then measure it. Like do something, measure it. How did this go? Did it go well? What went well? What didn't go well? Communicate with the people that are communicating with you. If you have 10 people that are socializing with you on social media, then you give those 10 people 80% of your attention and you just continue to nurture those relationships.
So, and it's amazing how much you can do for low or no money in this day and age. You could have your email account, you could have Zoom, you could have Chat GPT, you can have all your social media channels. There's a lot of resources at no cost. And then there's also networking events. Some networking events cost money, but a lot do not. So
Yeah.
showing up, just like you said. And, so definitely those are great things that'll be helpful for people. So now, you talked a little bit about, workforce related resources. And I think most people don't know much about them or don't understand them or confused by them. So they just miss out on the opportunity.
Right.
We talk a little bit about what those kind of look like and, how you find out about them and what you have to have in place to be able to take advantage of them.
Well, you really don't have to have anything in place outside of a system to capture the data as you hire. Um, I don't know, I haven't done an application in a long time, but I remember back in the day, like when you did an application, they would ask you certain questions, right? They would say, were you in the military? Are you a veteran? And you would check those questions all off. One of the questions they would ask is, are you on any type of public assistance? Have you been on any type of public assistance within the last 12 years? And you would check that off. And what that is when you check those questions off, you really identify what bucket of incentives you can possibly qualify for. So the only thing you need is a system to capture the information as you're hiring people, because you have a short window to apply for credits and some of these reimbursements. It's public information. It's available to just about any business. So you may have a criteria for that individual. Like I think out of school youth is a criteria, the community that you're hiring people from is a criteria. If someone was unemployed for, I think, more than 3 months and maybe 6 months, they qualify for some work opportunity tax credits. And what that does is, and they qualify for OJT. So on the job training, OJT, you can Google it, Department of Labor it, you can, Department of Labor it. Google it, okay? But you can look at that program and say, okay, based on these group of people that I'm hiring, this one can come through the OJT program. And the Department of Labor will reimburse you up to 50% for 6 months. That's a pretty significant reimbursement. Work opportunity tax credit, I think it's up to $9,400 in tax credit, depending on the who you're hiring and the credits that category that they fall into. But there are definitely quite a few things up there. And I think what happens is when we jump into business, we get so consumed in the day-to-day of business that there's no time to do the research. There's no time to kind of dig through to identify what's available, what's not available. I'm going to share one other thing about qualifications, and I'm still doing the research on this, but a bill was just signed where one of the things in the bill was a child care incentive. I think employers can give their employees up to $10,000 in child care expenses, and up to 50% of that is a tax write-off or a tax reduction. That may not sound like a lot, but that's a big deal. And for the employee, that up to $10,000 is not taxable, right? So those are some incentives that I think we don't think about. There's a healthcare, like a huge healthcare incentive where I think, and I'm still researching, I'm still kind of flushing this one out because it's a brand new bill, but there are quite a few incentives for employers that they don't think about. One of the things that I came across a few months ago, I was working with a company and they had no 401k, which means the CEO didn't have a 401k and the staff didn't have a 401k, but they had a balance due to the IRS. And I'm like, that's easy, right? So things like that not only motivate employees, but it reduce the turnover. I'm trying to think. Yeah, but there's no prerequisite. It's open to everyone. It's you just have to kind of do the research, or if you don't, find the time to do the research because it's worth it. And I'm going to stop there.
And then also, if you have good accountants or good people that you're working with, a lot of times they may know what's going on in your area. So
that's a vital piece. If you have an accounting person that's just punching the numbers in and they're not assessing where you can save money, where you can generate more revenue, where you can position yourself, because the point of entrepreneurship, I don't know about anyone else, but part of it is to start to generate wealth for yourself and your family. But if there are ways for you to do that and you have someone, and I'm not saying get rid of your accountant because, we need them, but make sure you have someone that's assessing your finances and really looking for ways that you can save and position yourself to grow.
Okay, excellent. So definitely. So I'm going to slip in a quick video here because we do have the conference coming up real soon. So I have a short video about the conference, and then we'll come back talking a little bit more small business with Nakeicha Wilson. Here we go. We're here at the Small Business Power Breakfast and Conference. I'm excited to say that we had a great day.
This event was a wow. Every panel, every speaker has had so much amazing content and good information to share.
This is a good day to put aside to come out and do some learning, but also make some great connections. The ones that I made were impactful.
Hi, I'm Andrew Frazier, masterpreneur and founder of the Small Business Pro University. For more than 10 years, our events have directly resulted in tens of millions of dollars in both revenue and financing for attendees. Join me at the Small Business Pro Power Conference on July 25th at NJ Pack's Nico Kitchen and Bar in Newark, New Jersey, to learn best practices, enjoy great networking, and gain useful knowledge. We will supercharge your day. I look forward to seeing you at the Small Business Pro Power Conference on July 25th in NJ Pack at Nico Kitchen and Bar in Newark, New Jersey. To learn more and register, visit www.sbprou.com/conference. All right. Welcome back. I'm here with Nakeicha Wilson, talking small business. And tonight we're talking about leveraging resources. That's one of the things Nakeicha does a lot of with a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners. One of the things that I've attended, well, actually 2 times where you did training and seminars for small business owners, and kind of you use a little bit of a different approach than many other people do. Talk a little bit about how you work with them at your sessions and help them to be able to understand what they need in terms of resources and other things to be able to help them be more successful.
One of the things I identified while I was in the field was there would be like entrepreneurship programs and then nothing else. So what I do is I share the information, and then we have working sessions in real time. Like we sit and we have a real conversation. Like, tell me what you're dealing with so that we can specifically identify what resources you need to tap into. I think a lot of business owners think they need one thing. Like if you ask a business owner right now what they need, they're probably going to say funding. But a lot of times it's not funding. So rather than me just kind of create a program based on what I think business owners need, I create a list of resources and I share it with them. But we also have a real conversation about what they're dealing with. And we sit there, and a lot of times we just try to do it. Let's just do something right now, right? If you're dealing with a credit issue, let's see what resources available to help you with credit. If you're dealing with a foundational issue, let's see which organization that we can leverage to allow you to grow. And it depends on where the business owner is as well. Like if a business owner comes to me and they have no money, then we're going to leverage the free resources. If they come and they're like, no, I have some money, I just need help with operations, then we kind of look at our network and identify who in our network can help that business owner. Because there's so many marketing workshops. There's so many, and I hate to say it that way. I think my approach is just being real and just saying what it is. And then let's get the fluff out the way and get down to the issue so that we can get the problem resolved. And the other piece is continuous conversation, right? You can't tell a business owner, okay, you need to do these 10 things. Here's a list. And then you don't see them for 12 months. I think part of it is continuous conversation, really identifying their pain points. And you may have to maneuver some things so that they can get to the bottom of it. But my approach is just being honest, authentic, and relatable. There's no time for fluff.
Definitely, that's important. You're actually talking with people instead of to them. And I think a lot of times, entrepreneurs are talked at rather than with. So, definitely it seems like there's a lot of energy in the sessions where you've done it, and people come out with something useful and beneficial in the short period of time they do it there. So, so that's cool. So now, if you were talking to someone who was just thinking about starting a business right now,
Okay.
what would you tell them to do? What type of resource? What should they do?
So I would, in this order, right? If they're just starting out, I would connect them to Rising Tide. Um, in addition to Rising Tide, I would also connect them to SBDC. Now, what I love about Rising Tide is they get into the micro pieces of a business.
So what is Rising Tide
Oh,
other than the ocean?
thank you, Andrew. Rising Tide, is it Academy? I think it's Rising Tide Academy. But Rising Tide is an organization that helps businesses just kind of create all the pieces that they need from a ground level standpoint. I took Rising Tide is a 12-week program, if if I remember correctly. And when I took it, it was in person, but now I think it's like hybrid. But they go through all the pieces of a business that you need. And what I love about Rising Tide and what they do is after the 12 weeks, some people decided they're going back to work. So that's where I would say ground level. If you've already started SBDC, and I say you do a combination, right? Some business owners will start one program and then they'll stop. I say you stack all of the resources that you have because you have to continuously learn. Even now, there's so much that I don't know, right? You have to continuously learn. Yeah, SBDC, Rising Tide, pitch competitions. I strongly suggest pitch competitions if you're just starting out, because now what you get to do is you have to tell people about your business over and over and over again. And if you're really good, there's some really great prizes for a pitch competition. So if you can find pitch competitions in your community, get that. And some of those pitch competitions come with coaching.
So, okay. And also there's one thing that's implied, but you didn't say specifically, is that you need to write your business plan.
Well, here's the thing. You need to write it, but you also need to understand it. And I can't recall if Rising Tide helped you with a business plan, but I know SBDC helps you with a business plan, and so does SCORE. And I like SCORE for a business plan because SCORE is a nonprofit, and these are retired executives that volunteer to help business owners. And I like SCORE because with SCORE, I feel like you have a more seasoned mentor. So I like SCORE for business plan, not necessarily SBDC for business plan. But definitely SCORE, I think, is a great resource because you have someone with 20, 30, 40 years of knowledge and expertise that can really help you flush out that business plan. And the other piece is the business plan is a live document. It's constantly changing.
So, okay. Yeah, no, and definitely, if you're in corporate, you've definitely done some planning because I spent time there as well. I do planning year round.
There you go.
So definitely, if you're looking at plans, those are good people who can give you feedback and support with that. So excellent. So now, the thing I hate about the show is like an hour is just not enough time. We're just getting started and it's already pretty much an hour. So we'll have to, continue our conversation. But before we do that, before I let you leave, we want to get the 3 key things people should take away from what we discussed tonight. Because, one, most people can't remember more than 3 things. But also, it just makes it easier for people to say, okay, tomorrow when they get up, what did I learn and what can I implement? So take a minute to sort of think about the 3 key things that people should take away from what we discussed tonight. And I'm going to take a minute to share a little bit about something that's really important. And we touched on today in terms of bookkeeping and financial management. And then we'll come back and you can share your top 3.
Okay.
All right. You risk cash flow, tax, and profitability issues without timely, accurate financial records. Unfortunately, most business owners are not happy with their current bookkeeping situation. Many struggle with it themselves or have trouble finding the right help at a reasonable price. Even if you have a bookkeeper, there are often inaccuracies that can cost you money due to their lack of accounting knowledge and experience. Fortunately, it doesn't have to be that way. That's why I incorporated small business-friendly bookkeeping into our service offerings. We meet you where you are, whether you want to switch to save money or need us to clean up past issues, bringing everything current for tax and compliance purposes. Use the link below to schedule a complimentary discovery session to explore how we can help. www.sbprou.com/discovery. You have everything to gain and nothing to lose by scheduling a complimentary discovery session to explore how we can help at www.sbprou.com/discovery. Okay. All right. Well, welcome back. I'm here with Nakeicha. We're getting ready to close out the show, and Keisha's going to share some key things that we should take away from what we talked about today. So, what do we have, Nakeicha?
All right. 3 takeaways. Number 1, you need a strong foundation. We tend to skip steps. I've definitely skipped steps in this entrepreneurial journey, but sometimes you just have to go back. You need a strong foundation. If you don't have a strong foundation, it just makes it harder. The second thing I want to share is you are not in this alone. A lot of business owners feel like what they're dealing with, they're by themselves, but there's a community of business owners and a community of resources that's available to help you. And then the third thing I want to share is just pick one area. Just pick one thing. Just say, I'm going to work on one thing for this period of time. Don't stretch it out too long now. The one thing, it could be for 2 weeks or 21 days. I'm going to work on this one thing. And after you complete that one thing, you can work on something else. So foundation, you need a strong foundation. You're not alone. There are resources, people, network, communities that are here to support you, and pick one area and just start working on that. You don't have to eat the entire elephant all at once.
Okay, excellent. So building your foundation, that comes with building your knowledge, putting your business plan together, developing your team, but just preparing yourself to be successful. Nobody succeeds on their own. So, you don't have to be alone. You don't have to try and do it yourself. And relationships are key to everything in business, not just customers, but just relationships in general. And organizations like Rising Tide Capital, SBDC, Rising Tide has a couple thousand graduates. So you already have other people to share the journey. And finally, work on one thing. I like in running a business, just managing. It's like you're pushing like 10 pebbles forward like an inch. So if you could just take one pebble and push it forward 10 inches, you can make some good progress and you can see it, because a lot of times it doesn't feel like you moved forward. So definitely picking the key thing to make sure you're moving forward with, so that you're making the progress, because sometimes it doesn't feel like it. But definitely getting that done is key. So no, this has been great, Nakeicha. Thanks for taking the time to hang out with me tonight. Definitely appreciate everybody's comments and questions. The hour definitely went by quickly. As you can see, Nakeicha is pretty friendly, so I'm sure that if you would reach out to her on LinkedIn, she would accept your invitation. So this is Nakeicha's info on LinkedIn. Oh, I guess, well, that's her LinkedIn, and also her Facebook. Her website is Alexander Sky Group. So if you want to learn a little bit more about her company and what they do, definitely feel free to check that out as well. So before we close out, is there anything that you want to share before we close out?
No, reach out, ask for help. That's it. Like, help is here, but no one knows the help you need if you don't ask. And we've all had to overcome some things. So ask for help. You will be more relatable than you think.
Excellent. So no, it's been tremendous. So hang out for a minute. I'm going to close things out and look forward to catching up with you shortly. So once again, thanks. Appreciate Nakeicha coming on and hanging out tonight. As you heard, resources are important, and most business owners are leaving opportunities and benefits on the table. So it's important to know about these things, take advantage of them. And hopefully this has just opened your eyes a little bit to some of the things that you have the opportunity to take advantage of as a business owner. So definitely continue to look out for opportunities, reach out to Nakeicha, talk to your accountant, talk to other people in your ecosystem, ask them what they're doing, what they've seen, and sort of support each other through the journey. So definitely that's important. Once again, our conference is coming up in 2.5 weeks, so hopefully you can join us. The conference is going to be on the 25th of July, and it's going to be at NJ Pack in their Nico kitchen. So hopefully you can join us then. If not available during the day, come the night before for our networking event at the Kruger Mansion. And we're really excited about our speakers. One of our speakers, Natalie Colefield, she runs an organization that does research and advocacy for small businesses across the country. And then Calvin Reed is one of Newark's own founders of Community Cable Corporation, which basically was the first cable franchise in the city of Newark. So definitely both of them have a lot to share, and hopefully you get a chance to join us and meet them. So, check us out for that. And then, of course, we have some great panels. Nakeicha's moderating one. Irvin Hughes is going to be talking about opportunities in government contracting. Jessica is going to be talking about opportunities for networking and building relationships. And then I'll be talking about business financing. So hopefully you can join us there as well. So thanks again for tuning in. Always appreciate your comments and questions and everything. And always at the end of the day, the more that you know, the faster and more successfully your business is going to grow.
Thank you for listening to Leadership Live at 8:05, Talking Small Business. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Leadership Live is one of the many valuable resources provided through the Small Business Pro University, empowering business owners to learn, profit, and grow. Find out more at sbpro.u.com.